Ronny, welcome to the E-Commerce Talks podcast. You're a founder of GoldenScent here. We're meeting today at the Siemens conference in Riyadh. And I'd like to find out how the perfume market is working here in the GCC region and how did it come like that a German is heading like the leading perfume platform here in the market. Please introduce yourself.
Alexander, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Ronny Froehlich. I'm a co-founder of the Middle East's largest online retailer for perfumes.
Nice. And then I know you've told me before, but how did it come? The short story is good enough.
Short story. Well, of course, there's a component of just do it. I knew the Middle East since 2006, where I did an internship. This is like the first exposure for my personal development here with the region. I went back to university, met the other co-founder of GoldenScent, Malik, who is a Saudi national. We really bonded well with each other, and then always brainstormed what we're going to do after university times. It was clear we wanted to do a business together, and then after some brainstorm sessions, we came to this brilliant idea of an online e-commerce for perfumes here in the region.
Okay, and you told me already that's kind of a Douglas concept here for the region, and the region is not only Saudi, but includes obviously like UAE and all of the other countries. Can you give us like a rough breakdown of the numbers here? So how are we like in a super niche market, or it's like a big and growing market?
Middle East in general, or perfumes?
The region where you're selling.
The region. I mean, the region is a growing region. I would say it's has favorable economics. In the Middle East, I mean, to give some numbers on the demographics, we talk about a region which has around 2.5 million square kilometers, which is equal size like Italy, France, Spain, Germany combined, maybe even a little bit bigger. In this area, we have 55 million inhabitants, 35 are in Saudi and 20 million outside Saudi. We're talking about mainly 6 countries, Saudi, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, and Oman. It's the so-called GCC countries. Saudi has been in the last 20 years and will also continue to be a growing country, growing by population. And so we're here in Riyadh, which is the largest city. Most people don't realize that just the city of Riyadh is almost as big as the UAE altogether. We talk about 8 to 9 million inhabitants.
But not the same purchasing power than compared to the UAE. Not yet.
Very, very similar. Very, very similar.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Crazy. And then I've learned yesterday during a dinner, then Jeddah also is like 8 million people living there, right?
Yes.
Also huge.
So the large metropolitan areas here in the Middle East is number 1, Riyadh. Number 2 would be an agglomeration of Jeddah, Mecca, and Taif. Yeah, so it's like 6 million people. Then we have in the eastern region, Dammam, Dhahran, Khobar, which is roughly 4 million people. For us as a business, these are important centers also for e-commerce. We also do our own logistics there, for same day delivery. And in Dubai, you have like 3.5 million. Abu Dhabi is 3.5 million, and Kuwait as a country is 3.5 million.
So, and obviously you said you're coming from a business background, and you did like your analysis, break down what kind of markets. Do you want to sell cars? Do you want to sell like jewelry? Do you want to sell usually when you started like roughly 8 to 10 years ago, there still I think the fashion idea was big selling because I think that was only like 2 years after the IPO of Zalando, when like fashion was still like an interesting founder topic. But you went for perfumes in particular. So was the competition though favorable back then? So wasn't there any like big online fragrance retailer?
When we talk about the region, in 2014, you would have some e-commerce players in Dubai operating out of Dubai and some operating out of Jordan. But here in Saudi, there were only a few. But in our category, we are the first e-commerce player born out of Saudi. And I thought about it yesterday. Maybe we are even today the oldest e-commerce player born out of Saudi in general, because all that have been before us are dead, and everyone else which is live came after us. So the competition in 2014 was like very like in a pioneering phase. So when we decided to launch, it's of course like when you go for such an opportunity, you need to ask yourself, why is there nobody? But we found that during that time that the time was right. The minimum viable ecosystem was there in which we could launch our business idea. And then
we had here in the podcast already also like the managing director of Jumia, who was responsible for the rollout of e-commerce in Nigeria, and he told me it was a clusterfuck. There was no addresses. You had like 80% of the packages or parcels you wanted to send out came back because nobody found like the customer. So how did it look like? And I guess because there was no big e-commerce players here. And most likely no big mail order companies. There must have been like similar problems here in the region. So how was it like in 2014 to send out perfumes via parcels?
Well, obviously it was a huge challenge, but of course exciting. Like I actually had also experienced similar things before launching GoldenScent. Probably not as challenging as Nigeria, but same. Like you don't have many payment options. Logistics, it's very, very challenging, high returns, huge cash on delivery portion of your orders. Addresses, of course, also not existing that well. The funnel was mainly driven from desktop, but it quickly merged into mobile.
Yeah, you started exactly at the time when the shift happened.
Yes, yes. And also the country itself. I mean, when we started 9 years ago in 2014, Saudi itself was still a hugely challenging country with a lot of restrictions. And for us, when we started, there was no digital ecosystem. So we wanted to launch in Saudi Arabia because we knew in the long-term prospects that this is the key market to be in. If you want to be big in the GCC, you need to be big in Saudi Arabia. So we wanted to, of course, market ourselves right. You need to be close to. We believe you need to be close to your market. You cannot operate from distance and then succeed. But the lack of talent led us to. Less than a year after our launch, we opened an office in Dubai, and then also at the same time in 2015 launched an office in Jordan. So Jordan was a bit our back office for customer service, and we started also our own IT development there, and Dubai was a bit more marketing related. And this was driven mainly, there was no talent in the digital industry.
Has this changed?
It has changed, yes. It has changed. So now, still there's a good pool, of course, in the UAE, but especially here in Riyadh, you will find a very dynamic and thriving IT and digital industry.
Interesting. Are you allowed to share some numbers about like GoldenScent? Or how big is the business actually?
Yeah. So we are the market leader on our segment. So we do approximately, around $100 million GMV in our markets. What other numbers are
employees, for example?
Employees.
Countries you shared?
Yes,
it must be like in 6 countries roughly.
Yeah. Our core markets is Saudi, first of all, then GCC. We also ship into around 88 other countries around the world, which we launched recently. We're a company of approximately 150 employees, quite decentralized, situated. We operate mainly out of 2 offices, one in Riyadh, one in Dubai. We serve our markets mainly from 2 big warehouses in Riyadh and in Jeddah. As mentioned earlier, so in the main metropolitan areas, we also deliver with our own delivery fleet.
But you also fulfill orders from your Saudi warehouses into GCC. So if you somebody in Dubai orders,
yes.
And what is like the expected delivery time? Because when I was in Dubai at the other Siemens conference in May, I've learned, same day delivery is kind of standard already, and you have like enough people that are driving around little scooters to deliver the packages. That seems to be super hard if you fulfill it from a central warehouse in Saudi.
For the Saudi market, like within the metropolitan areas, we are like in a same day delivery, same day, delivering at the same day. Saudi itself, in its entire 2 million square kilometers, so we have on an average 2 point something days, around 2-ish.
Okay.
And Dubai, we also serve from a smaller warehouse in Dubai.
Okay.
But here's then a little bit category specific.
So you have a couple of like top seller stuff where
yes.
This like the turnaround is pretty
yes.
fast, which you store then in a dark store warehouse. I would say, if you come and you're from time to time in Europe, so if you compare like e-commerce experience in Europe or the US to the markets here, like in Dubai or Riyadh. Are the markets here behind, or is there something where they're even more innovative and show how the future might look like in our markets?
Yes, that's an interesting question. It's both. There are some elements where maybe the markets are behind, and some elements where the markets are ahead. Behind in the sense, like we launched in 2014, and we were one of the first e-commerce player in that category. So in Europe, we already had like a Douglas Online or a Flaconi or a Feel Unique. So that wave of e-commerce started in Europe earlier. Yeah. However, in the details, it's a little bit different. Where I believe the markets here are ahead is in, I would say, the digital adaptation. So the societies here in the markets are very internet affine. So we're here in a country with the highest, per capita usage for YouTube, Twitter, all sorts, Snapchat, all sorts of social media.
Really?
Yes. Okay. And
so I think my picture about Saudi was totally wrong. So.
No. It's when I came here in 2014, of course, many people also said that, Ronny, you are crazy. Yeah, who will buy online? Like the people are just happy to go to a shopping mall, but that's not the case. Like if you know the region, if you know the people, if you have an understanding, you know that these markets are service driven, and maybe e-commerce is there's no other country culture better suited for e-commerce than actually here. So our business, a difference to Europe is that we have probably 80+% comes through app. So we have a very high app, or very high share of revenue is derived out of our app, which is similar to East Asia, China, Japan, where you see similar patterns. Social media is also more significant than in Europe. I followed many of your podcasts in German over the years, and in 2014, 15, 16, a lot of conversations centered around SEO and rather more traditional, I would say, Google search, marketing. That we did not see here. Like here,
not at all.
There is a component, but not to that significance. So the social media component for us is, of course, much more important. Also, we need to see that our products are in a lifestyle category. So we're not talking about an electronics, which is a very technical product with lots of features. Lifestyle, like fashion, perfumes, beauty, that also like has an element of promoting it, putting it into the right picture, trends, newness.
Interesting. Okay, so I've definitely learned that it's an upcoming market where you can rely on a lot of macro trends. Then let's talk about the channels you've already shared. I don't remember if you shared it during the time when I forgot to click on record, but you've shared already with me that the fragrance online shares like 10-12%.
Yes, I shared very interesting insights.
Yeah. So there's so much stuff like we've talked about already. 10-12%. You're right. I'm only like for a very short time, but my understanding is like when it comes to like the retail infrastructure, there's still a heavy focus on malls, and like in the big buildings where the hotels are built, they are building like malls into the ground floors. Still even bigger than most of the malls we see in Germany. Is it still like the booming market? So still are real estate developers focusing on let's build like another mall, bring like another same brands and retailers into it, where most likely there's also a fragrance retailer into every mall. So how does it work here? What is the view on brick and mortar retail?
Saudi is a brick and mortar retail country, and the same way it's also an e-commerce country. So brick and mortar is still booming. There are many shopping mall developments, like we're talking in double-digit numbers, where across the country in the next 10 years, many shopping malls will be launched. And there's just one new shopping mall close by that will be launched this month. But
where is the demand coming from? Because yes, I understand it's a young population, and there's like more people coming, but double-digit numbers, it's huge. So where did those people buy before they started shopping in those malls?
Honestly, maybe I don't have a compelling answer for that, but anyone who lives here knows that there is a good spending power. There is people like to consume, and
But it's the same like in Dubai. I've learned people go to the mall because there's not just no other place to meet. Outside it's too warm. Then there's no big parks. Maybe some artificial ones, but not as parks as we see like in Europe. If you want to meet people without inviting them for dinner, you anyway have to go for a mall. There's a cinema in there. Sometimes there's a fitness studio, whatever. That's why malls are super popular. Yeah. Is it the same here? Because of the weather conditions?
In general, yes. I mean, traditionally, like when we say traditionally, or when I say traditionally, then let's say the last 10 to 20 years. So the income of a family, like how can you spend it? So there is like a lot goes into food. You will have a fantastic food landscape here, restaurant landscape, and also shopping. Yeah, so the entertainment industry, there has not been as much options to spend the money on entertainment. This is clearly changing. There's a huge support for an upcoming entertainment industry. Tourism is expected to come in. We're talking about 100 million tourists by the year, I think, 2030.
Which is interesting because like before 2019, there wasn't even a tourist visa option. So that's kind of super new, right?
Yes. It's one of the challenges also to start a business here in Saudi Arabia when we started in 2014, like how to get in. We had to go not only 1 extra mile, we had to go probably 3 extra miles just to solve that. However, like as I mentioned, Saudi is a brick and mortar, good for brick and mortar. Retail is growing, is expanding. In the same way, online is expanding from our side. In our industry, in the luxury premium beauty, there has always been a little bit, I would say, a distance from the premium brands when it comes to online retail. So I think it's now definitely changing after COVID, and like we derive probably half of our revenue, what we define as outside the metropolitan areas, where the retail shopping infrastructure is like you will not find many shopping malls. So you're definitely focusing like on areas outside of the bigger cities, which is an interesting point. But what definitely maybe one more number, as you like to hear numbers. Also, more than 50% of our revenue is made online outside shopping mall shopping hours.
That must be online then, yeah.
Must be online. So, I mean, we also make lots of orders at midnight, during the night. Yeah. You also need to see that the shopping mall opening hours are different here than in Europe.
Is there a law like in Germany that you have to close down the mall? Like, are you not allowed to open it like at Sunday, or is it like, or can you go to malls on Sunday?
Shopping malls are open every day. So, but in a different timings, and then of course, but you will have breaks in between. So you will not have a consistent 8 hours stretch of shoppable hours. So you will have, let's say, 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock, a mall is open. Then there's a short period of closure for the noon prayer. Then in the afternoon, there's another. Well, you could say so. This like you have like four breaks. The last break is around 8 o'clock, and then if you go to brick and mortar, then you have like the best shopping time is from 8 to 11, which is also our best shopping window.
And there's obviously one thing that interests me a lot, like because many people, like also from the audience, might have been to Dubai, or they have like a picture of Dubai, lots of parties, very hot, whatever. And there's a lot of opinions about Saudi. And you said you spend like 50% of your time here, 50% in Dubai. And obviously I didn't have like a proper picture about like Riyadh or Saudi before I arrived here. And for me, it feels a lot like Dubai, to be very honest. It's not as religious or as tough, and nobody's screaming around. And I guess you have to deal with those opinions a lot, like when you have this kind of conversation. So what's your view on how developed is this country, how open, free, whatever, compared to the Dubai region of doing business? So how easy is it for like a European founder to adapt into this here?
Good question. In general, the outside view is probably like people in Europe know Dubai, and they have heard a little bit of, obviously, Dubai marketed itself in the last 20 years very well. And attracts many tourists. So then you will also find in Europe many people that have at least been there or seen something or know somebody who had been there. So there is a bit more feeling for that. And Saudi has been a bit more like a black box. As mentioned, it's difficult to get inside, but my personal experience is I love it. I really have a very, very good time. We have a great team here. It's also in Dubai, of course. We have a great team, but your question is geared more towards here in Riyadh. So I experience there's a huge young population, very creative, very expressionary. You will find now many art galleries, art cafes. So there's a big entrepreneurial wave currently ongoing in all industries, whether it's cafes, e-commerce, shops. So all industries are going through this entrepreneurial phase. So personally, it's like the third time that I experienced this in my life, such kind of like economic boom. Myself, I come from East Germany, so after reunification, it was similar patterns, where opening up a market leads into a huge entrepreneurial wave, and like 3 to 5 years later, a first consolidation then sets in.
Okay, the second wave was in like the e-commerce boom?
No, this was in a different industry, a different country, but longer story.
Okay. But
very interesting.
But the interesting thing here, or what I wanted to hear, or what I wanted to understand is like, if you would have like a conversation with like a German founder or a France founder, UK founder, who is also like looking for future opportunities, where like 10 years ago we would have said, okay, go to Southeast Asia, because like in the intense like internet expansion times, 2005, 2015, that seemed to be like the most interesting market when it came to macroeconomic tailwinds. Before it was like the US, and now you would say, take a closer look to the GCC region plus Saudi, because that's actually where lots of growth is going to be like in the next 10 years. Because many founders do need to take this kind of decision now, and they need to go for a region where they want to spend their most productive years, I would say.
Well, there will be obviously still challenges. So it's not that easy, and it's also not the first address for a European founder. If I would do a personal advice, then probably for someone who's in Europe seeking for opportunities, probably I would still advise Dubai. It's across the board in terms of regulations and infrastructure, VC industry, like anything that belongs to the ecosystem is still better equipped. And of course, in terms of language, it will also get far easier through the country navigating in the UAE. So here in Saudi, it's still something that will still have to change, or you as a founder have to better adapt to the local environment. For me personally, as I said, I was exposed to the Middle East long before starting the business, so I knew what is it about. I knew that I would like it, and I knew that, I'm a very open-minded person, able to cope with all challenges.
Yeah. We have. I'm also from Eastern Germany. We have to be. We have to adapt. But then let's go back to your business model. Obviously, I also understand 100 million in revenue, most likely growing at a good rate because there's also some macroeconomic trends, growth, online shift. You can work on. And if I compare to Douglas is obviously handling a lot of third-party brands. But I assume there's a big chance of developing your own fragrances brands, especially here in this region, because there must be a lot of competence here. If the consumption is so much higher per capita, then there must be more fragrance founders available, I would say. How does it work out? Is there a GoldenScent 1, GoldenScent 2, GoldenScent Black series you can buy?
No, I didn't understand your question.
Do you have your own brands, your own fragrances you're producing?
Yes, we do carry own brands. So we also, I would say it's across all e-commerce players that you will find in the world. It's a general trend that everyone engages also in own brands. So we understand also that part of the business, and it's a good addition. At the end, on the platform, we generate tons of data that we can utilize, of course, for brand creation, and also the expertise that our team has gathered over the years, and which is manifested in processes, in dealing with brands, premium brands. At the end, it's how to market brands for your consumers. So you can do this for third-party brands, but also for your own brands.
Okay, but do you see a future for GoldenScent where more than 50% is vertical brands? Because looking at the more developed categories like fashion in Europe, as a sports goods, you have to get to 60-70% exclusively traded brands or owned brands just to get out of the pricing competition. So there's it's a question of time, because there will be competition, and there's pricing competition, so you must grow into that region. Is this possible with fragrances?
I totally understand your question. I think we have a little bit different set of numbers, and due to economics, we do believe we would not need to go that far to 60%, as you mentioned. Is it possible? Everything is possible. It depends how you execute it, how you run it. But what we believe, we can be far below that.
Do you know the fragrance influencer, Jeremy Fragrance?
Yes, of course.
Is he important here?
We carry his brand, so we are the exclusive distributor for his brand here in the region. Actually, I met him 2 days ago.
Really?
At a beauty exhibition in Dubai, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he's also influencing consumers here, because I'm not 100% sure if I understand his followership in social media a lot, because my understanding was it's not mostly Europeans, but it's he's influencing people here in the region what fragrance to buy.
He's influencing people, and people know him. Yeah. also like you can see when you're next to him that there is every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you will have people greeting him. In general, but however, here the region is rich of its own set of influencers. Yeah, so you have, let's say, equally great stars here in the region that you probably won't know. But
yeah, I've learned yesterday during the dinner that actors from Egypt are super popular here because Egypt is really popular in the soap opera development, and which was consumed here in the region. Yes. So Egypt actors, which are not known at all, like in Europe, are relevant here.
Can you say it again?
From Egypt, from Cairo. I didn't know that that's kind of a...
Yes. Well, traditionally, the TV and media industry was centered around Egypt. So, so for the entire MENA region, so that everyone also understands the Egyptian dialect.
And do you have your own influencer program, your own marketing strategy with influencers?
We do. It's part of the marketing mix. So we do like all activities that you can imagine in digital marketing, also some offline marketing. I think we were maybe the first e-commerce that cooperated with influencers in 2014, and we have a very good long-lasting cooperation. So there are some that we work with for the last 8 to 9 years. So, and some of them are exclusive just to us, like because we have such a good bond with each other.
With many other podcast guests I've talked in the last 12 months, they always mention the supply chain topic for their businesses. In fragrances, I don't know how it works. If like the Indian or Chinese market is important, like to produce it, was there also like a supply chain thing? Any fragrances that were not available during that time?
Yes, it is. I mean, the supply chain is affected. In general, we cooperate directly with the big brands. We're a very good customer for Coty, for example. And everyone has, like from the big brands, everyone has a local representation. So where we prefer to access the stock. So let's say wider logistics, we are not that much affected with our e-commerce business. However, with, let's say, own brands, components, sourcing from, let's say, Europe or from Asia, which is the main places where you source components for fragrances. Here, yes, it's still ongoing. So this year we see huge price increases. Supply chains are disrupted. However, we are managing that well, so we don't see many out of stock.
And another topic where lots of e-commerce founders are complaining right now in Europe is like the increase on the logistics side. So like all the unit economics are going up, but you cannot raise the prices to what the end customers in the same way. Here we have a very different like influx of migrants in the region, and it still feels like all services you would like to see at a hotel, like valet parking, people like carrying your stuff. That's still around. It's like it's a standard. So, what about like the unique economics and logistics then in e-commerce here?
I mean, in global supply chains, it is known that container prices have tripled. I think in the last 2-3 months it comes down a little bit. Mm. So maybe we see soon a certain relief. We did not yet increase on a broad scale prices to our consumers. We work simply more on efficiency this year and the next 6 months.
But for an average warehouse worker here in the region, what do you have to pay like from a yearly salary perspective? Just to put it in perspective.
I will not be able to give a precise number, but it's something converted into euros or dollars. It's probably like $500 to $700
a month.
Yeah. But this we are not doing ourselves. We outsource this part to a fulfillment company.
But there's like still enough people. If, let's say you want to double your warehouse capacity with this kind of growth rate, it will happen sometime. You would say there's still enough people available, like even the next like 5 years, that will work like for a decent salary, so you can afford like the unit economics.
Yes. I mean, The Middle East, I would say, works, of course, a bit differently than Europe, also in terms of workers' migration. So I don't think there is a shortage of supply in the next years.
Yeah, I think so too. It's interesting. There's lots of like macroeconomic and structural like advantages in theory. Obviously, climate change is not helping. The region makes it even harder to get like enough fresh water. But it's like I guess like the ministry is working on it.
It's getting colder in Dubai.
It's getting colder in Dubai?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. My feeling is that it gets a little bit colder as there is more weather engineering in terms of make it rain. So I experience nowadays more colder days than hot days.
In Dubai, they make it rain?
Yes.
Really?
It's official. You can just Google it, read it in the
I thought
newspaper.
only the Russians did it like 20 years ago for their big military parade. So they have like no rain in Moscow. They did something to the clouds, so it rains outside of Moscow. Okay, that's maybe carrying us too far away from our core topic. Coming to an end for this podcast, maybe looking into 2023. So it's an impressive story so far. These are some like trends or some like bigger developments you're looking forward to, where like, I don't know, some of the UK or France businesses have looked into like AI, metaverse, whatever stuff. Is there something you would say, messenger commerce that's up and coming, or some other channels that are not so known in the Western world?
A good question. We always elaborate in like what are the innovations, and we do also try out. In 2018, we had been even the first e-commerce player here in the region launching an AR, like an augmented reality feature. What are the next big trends? In general, I would say there are two very strong macro trends in our, not only two, if I think about longer, then there will be more. But two is the perfume industry itself is evolving, kind of exploding even. So in terms of variety of SKUs that you have in 2022, it's much more than in 2010 or in 2000. So you as a consumer, or we as consumer, we have much more variety today, and this trend will continue. The other overarching macro trend, I would say, is the evolution of internet itself. When we go back in, like I mentioned that in our industry we have like a 10 to 12% online share to total retail, and this is far behind other categories like electronics or books. Mm-hmm. Maybe in books we are at 90 or 95. Yeah, so
even here in the region. So you don't see any big bookstores here?
There are big bookstores, yeah, but now I'm talking about like globally, like what we see globally, that the book category is merged into an online category. Like nobody's really buying offline. Will the same happen in the beauty industry? I'm not sure. I do believe that the online share will definitely grow. And what can be the reasons that beauty is a bit further behind from what we see and what we experience is that when you go back 12 years to e-commerce, we had what types of marketing were available. You were able to do Google ads. It's very technical.
Essentially performance marketing.
Performance marketing, yes. Twitter only had 140 characters, no images, and that's not very suitable for a lifestyle category. So as the e-commerce or internet infrastructure expanded, a bit bigger bandwidth, also new forms of marketing were available. Now, like it started with a GIF image, then with a real image, Instagram emerged, and then we have video platforms, live streaming. So I do think that this trend of helping to improve the online discovery, especially for products where most people believe you need to smell the perfume. No, you can also sell a perfume online. But this macro trend basically is in favor of our industry, and I'm very optimistic that in the next 10 years we may see in the metaverse totally new options how to market perfumes online.
Okay, but how does this compound like in a growth rate in the future? Would you still expect like 30% plus growth rate for GoldenScent then in next years on a yearly basis?
Yes. All things combined, favorable.
So it's not outrageous to say like in 2030 you could be like $500 million at least?
Definitely, yes.
Okay, because the market is like big enough in the region, you might expand it.
We're not talking about adding other categories or other geographies.
Nice. I will definitely follow this kind of development, and thank you a lot, like for giving us some insight in the market, in the industry, and congratulations of like this achievement. Like maybe I put it on the title of the podcast, like first and most successful e-commerce player in Riyadh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ronny.